Namaste everyone. Welcome back children. Children, today we will talk about the solar system, and we know that solar system consists of the sun, stars, planets, moons, satellites and various other heavenly bodies. So today we'll know more about these various objects that revolve around the sun. So let us take up our today's topic, the solar system, part 1. So children, this topic is divided into two parts, solar system and the movements of the earth. Today in this video, we'll talk about only the solar system. So first of all, what do we see in the sky? During daytime, we see the sun, and at night we see the moon, planets and stars. And all of us know that stars twinkle in the night sky, whereas the planets do not, as they do not have light of their own. Now let us first understand what is a solar system. The solar system has sun in the center. 8 planets, their moons, and dwarf planets revolving around in fixed paths called orbits form our solar system. So as you can see here, the sun is in the center and planets, they revolve around the sun in fixed path, and these fixed paths are called orbits. Now let us know the names of these 8 planets that revolve around the sun, beginning from the one which is closest to the sun to the one which is the farthest. The one which is closest to the sun is the Mercury. Then we have Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and the farthest one is the Neptune. So now if we talk about the sun, we know that it is at the center of the solar system and it's a huge ball of hot gases. That means the gases are continuously burning, which in turn are giving out heat and light. And children, we know that the right amount of heat and light that the earth receives from the sun makes the life possible on it. Now let us know more about these planets one by one. So our very first planet is the Mercury. It is the nearest planet to the sun. It is the smallest planet in the solar system, and it also does not have any moon. That means it does not have any natural satellite revolving around it. And children, then we have the Venus. It is the second planet from the sun. It is the hottest planet in the solar system. And children, you should know that like Mercury, it also does not have any moon or natural satellite revolving around it. It is also called the morning or evening star, as it can be seen at dawn and dusk. That is, you can see Venus at the first light of the day or immediately after the sunset. And now the third planet from the sun is our own Earth. It is the third planet from the sun and is the only planet where life is known to exist, as it has air and water and it receives right amount of temperature from the sun. Most of its surface is covered with water. It is surrounded by air called as atmosphere, which protects us from harmful radiations from the sun. That is, the layer of air that surrounds the earth is also called the atmosphere. We talk about the natural satellite of earth. So it has one natural satellite and we call it moon. So you should know that the earth planet revolves around the sun, whereas the moon revolves around the earth in fixed path called orbit. So children, with this, let us move on to the fourth planet from the sun, and that is Mars. It is the second smallest planet. We know that Mercury is the smallest planet and second smallest is the Mars. It is also called red planet because the soil and rocks on its surface are red in color. And if we talk about the moons, we know that our Earth has one moon, but Mars has two moons revolving around it. And children, then we have the fifth planet, that is Jupiter. And you should know that it is the largest planet in the solar system. So if you compare it with the Earth, so you should know that it is 11 times as wide as our Earth. And if we compare it with some other planets as well, you can see the size. So Jupiter is the largest one, and it is also the fastest spinning planet. So children, here you should know that our Earth rotates once in 24 hours, but Jupiter rotates approximately once in 9.5 hours. And if we talk about its moons, it has 67 known moons revolving around it. And now, after Jupiter comes the most beautiful planet of the solar system, and that is the Saturn. And the prominent rings around it makes it look beautiful. It is the second largest planet in the solar system. And as you can compare the size, the Jupiter is the largest one and Saturn is the second largest one. And if we talk about the size of the Earth and the size of the Saturn, so here you should know that it is 10 times as wide as the Earth. It has 62 known moons revolving around it. And now the seventh one is the Uranus. So it is the third largest planet in the solar system. And now we know that Jupiter is the largest, Saturn is the second largest planet, and Uranus is the third largest planet. And then it has 27 known moons revolving around it. It is also called the cold planet as it is made up of ice and water. Now comes the one which is the farthest from the sun, and that is the Neptune. It is the farthest planet from the sun. It is the fourth largest planet in the solar system. So first we have Jupiter, second largest is Saturn, third largest is Uranus, and fourth largest is Neptune. And it has 14 known moons revolving around it. So children, that was about the 8 planets of the solar system. But before we wind up the topic planets, we should understand what kind of surface do they have. So if we talk about first 4 planets, that is Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, they are made up of rocks and metals. Next 2 planets, that is Jupiter and Saturn, are made up of gases. And then we have Uranus and Neptune, which are made up of ice and gases. Children, with this we'll move on to our next topic, that is about dwarf planets. So let us understand what is a dwarf planet. Dwarf planet is an object that revolves around the sun but is not big enough to be called as a planet. Pluto, Eris, Haumea, Makemake and Ceres, etc. are some of the dwarf planets in our solar system. They are all smaller than our moon. So if you compare it with the size of our natural satellite, that is moon, you will find that they are all smaller than the moon itself. There are 139 such dwarf planets known to exist in our solar system. So with this, we'll move on to the next topic, that is about the moons, also called the satellites. An object that moves around a planet in an orbit is called a satellite. A satellite may be natural or man-made, which is also called the artificial. So we know that moon is the natural satellite of the earth, but we know the scientists, they send artificial satellites also to the space. So basically, what are artificial satellites? These are machines which are sent to the space by scientists to know about the universe, the climatic conditions, the weather conditions, and for communication services. A natural satellite is any celestial body in space that moves around a planet. Moon is a natural satellite of the Earth, as we have talked about. All planets except Mercury and Venus have satellites. So that means only Mercury and Venus are those 2 planets which do not have any moon or satellite of their own. Rest of the planets, they have natural satellites. And children, now we'll talk about the natural satellites of our own Earth, and that is the moon. Moon is a natural satellite. Moon is about 3,84,400 kilometers away from the Earth. It completes one revolution around the Earth in 27 days. It appears bright because it reflects the light of the sun. It does not have an atmosphere like that of the Earth. Its surface is covered with large pits or holes called as craters. So as you can see here in this picture that the earth is revolving around the sun and the moon is revolving around the earth. So that means the moon, which actually does not have any light of its own, it reflects the light of the sun, and that is why we are able to see the moon in the sky. Now we'll talk about the artificial satellites. Earth has many man-made satellites revolving around it in a fixed orbit. Sputnik 1 was the first satellite sent by man into space, and then Aryabhata was the first satellite sent by India into space, and it was sent in the year 1975. Children, another celestial body that we see twinkling in the sky are stars. So these are huge balls of hot gases that give out heat and light continuously. They appear to us small because they are very far from us. The sun is also a star which is nearest to us. That is why it appears bigger to us as compared to other stars. We do not see stars during the day because they fade in sun's light, which is much brighter than their own light. So that means the light of the sun does not allow us to see the rest of the stars in the sky. We can see them only at night. So children, now let us move on to the important terms that we have come across during this video session. So first is the solar system. The sun, 8 planets, their moons and the dwarf planets together form solar system. Orbit is the fixed path in which planets revolve around the sun. Atmosphere, blanket of air that surrounds Earth, is called its atmosphere. Satellites, an object that moves around the planet in a fixed orbit, is called its satellite. Craters. These are pits on the surface of moon. So children, with this let us move on to the recapitulation section to see how much we have understood. Nearest planets to the sun is Venus. This is false. We know that it is Mercury. Pluto is a dwarf planet. That is true. Moon revolves around the sun. That is false. Moon is a natural satellite of the earth and it revolves around the earth. Moon is Earth's natural satellite. That is true. Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. That is again true. Neptune is the farthest planet from the sun. That is also true. And now let us take up the think and answer section. Explain solar system. What are satellites? What is a planet? Explain. What are stars? Why don't we see stars during the day? So children, I hope after going through this video session, you are able to answer these questions, but still if you have any doubts, you can refer to the video slides as mentioned here. So children, that was about the solar system, and in part 2, we'll talk about the movements of the earth. So until then, take care of yourselves.